Hiya and welcome to the Redmen TV. Liverpool play their second Premier League game. I was going to say this weekend, but it's not this weekend. I'm delighted to be joined by the incredible Abi Ben. And you can tell us a little bit about what you're up to in the next couple of weeks and what paintings you might be doing. In a bit. And I'm delighted to be joined by Ben, which, you know, the originals over here. We all know who Ben is. Which I've got to say, Ben, I'm enjoying the hat.
The hat, yeah, I've got a debate because I can confess, I'm happy to confess, I've had a hair transplant.
Oh.
So that's what the hat's about.
I'm not going to lie, I didn't know that, and had I have known that, I wouldn't have said that.
That's
I wouldn't have put you on the spot.
Because I've done a couple of these now with the hat on.
Okay.
And at some point you've got to take the hat off. At some point you've got to braid it. And I was like, in between today. But maybe next time.
I like the hat.
No, you've given me a bridge into maybe be able to confess
the hat.
I can have the hat. Yeah, the hat's not the
really?
problem. It's if anything, it's encouraged because like sunlight and things like that.
Oh, right.
But yeah, I was like, maybe today's the day. And then last minute I was like, I bottled it. I was like, no, I'm putting the hat back on.
Did it hurt?
It does hurt. Yeah, absolutely does hurt.
Like when it's happening or after?
Because basically the way they make it painless. They want to start this.
I know. Enjoy this show, guys.
The way they make it painless is by pumping you full of local anaesthetic, and it's like loads of little needles in your head, and that's really not painless at all. Like that is painful. But anyway, sorry. Thank you very much for the compliment on the hat.
It's fine. I'm glad that it was received well.
I've got a really good repertoire of hats. Is the positive at the moment. I've got a nice rotation.
And I'm pretty sure that was Joe who said hi to everyone there. That's why I brought that up. You can't see Joe. Joe is in the gallery. But hi everybody. We will get into the football. Abi, it's the polar opposite. We played first last week against quite a tough opponent, but at home. This time we are playing last out of the big dogs. Let's put it that way. And let me tell you, there's only one place to start. I am petrified.
Are you really that nervous for it?
I reckon there's going to be red cards, there's injuries all over the place. If we come away with 9 men on that field walking, I would be shocked.
I feel like there's this sort of thing around it with the Newcastle fans. Are like, our midfield's going to absolutely batter theirs. Like, it's all over Twitter. They're all saying, like, Tonali, like, Livramento, all this, Bruno's going to have them. And I don't feel that sort of pressure. Like, I've seen some level-headed Newcastle fans saying, like, you're forgetting these are the Premier League winners here. Like, at the end of the day, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, and then you've got the likes of Wirtz and that to throw in there. These are Premier League winners. They're not going to just lie down and feel the pressure because some Newcastle players are fuming that we're trying to get Alexander Isak off them. At the end of the day, that's their problem. If anything, the ball's in our court now to think we're the ones who should be feeling 10 foot tall. They've all completely felt a bit. Eddie Howe said he's not going to be involved, which we all know he wasn't going to be involved anyway, but they're doing the whole thing at the end of the statement of, oh, well, he's always welcome back and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, that just proves to them that they're caving basically on what's going on. And the ball's in our court to go and put that offer in, which I don't understand why we haven't done it yet, because now I'm starting to feel the pressure around it. But I don't think any of the players on the pitch, our players, should be feeling frightened of these players just because they're fuming because Isak doesn't want to play for them anymore.
You know what, Ben? I reckon we could wrap the show up there. I'm feeling 100% better already.
Nothing to add. I totally agree. I think this is very one-sided beef. And I think Liverpool here have the opportunity. I'm nervous because it's a big game and it's a Monday night, and you know this early on in the season, it's probably Man United Arsenal last week, but certainly one of the biggest games of the season so far across the 2 weekends. But Liverpool, as Abi said, are the Premier League winners. They have the opportunity here. If we keep our heads and we go in and play the game and not the occasion, we have the opportunity to get through the first 20 minutes, which will be raucous, it will be loud, it will be intense. But if the Newcastle players want to go in with that attitude and they want to do that, I don't think, if it takes somebody like McAllister or Szoboszlai or whatever, they're not going in with this with any extra beef. They're not going around throwing tackles in. They're not going to lose that. They're not going to lose their heads. And I feel like if we can just play the opponent and not, like, unlike the Newcastle players, because it's obviously up there, they're going to get bought into the intense atmosphere and the hate from the fans.
That is the problem for me, because you've seen what it's like at Anfield.
100%.
How many times under Jurgen Klopp, let's say, we were absolutely sound in a game of football, we didn't need to go chasing things, but because we're so invested, we're so happy, we're so excited by the football, we get in dangerous positions because Liverpool, like the Liverpool players, have been bought into the atmosphere so much, and they've got so much adrenaline punching that they just go for it all, and that is brilliant. However, I think it's going to be feisty. I agree with all of what you're saying, but I reckon it's going to be feisty as hell, but nothing to do with us. I think we can go on that pitch and we can walk around and be like, we're fine, mate. Like, we've actually just stood on the sideline and done nothing here. But I think their atmosphere, if there's certain players like Bruno Guimaraes or, Joe Linton, Anthony Gordon will be so up for it. If those players even get a little pinch of what that stadium's going to be like and let them be influenced, I reckon tackles will be going in left, right and centre. And maybe that's just because I feel like they do that anyway, because it is such a hard away day. But for me, I'm going into this game thinking to myself, I need to keep my players safe.
Yeah, definitely. But I think the persona of the manager and that's just not necessarily who we are. I don't think we're a particularly aggressive team. We're not a team that lose our heads easily, particularly over the last 12 months. To be fair, Newcastle away last season was also like a midweek game. It was sort of mid-season one of it, wasn't it?
So 3-3, Salah should have had.
But Kelleher did it. He left it. He let it go.
And it is always tough up there. But I feel like this is going to be an atmosphere that's fueled by hate and fueled by, obviously the drama of the last few weeks, not necessarily just the fact that it's a big game. And I think it's going to be much more difficult for the Newcastle players to keep their heads more than the Liverpool players.
It's not like our players aren't experienced in playing in it, like a angry atmosphere. At the end of the day, they've just played at Anfield on that Friday night where it was absolutely as loud as anything, where you couldn't hear yourself think. And I know it's not their fans this time, but they're completely used to playing in that sort of atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't feel any pressure in that. I don't know if I'm just like overly confident here, where I'm like, these Newcastle fans have just bigged it up so much that they're just like, we're going to absolutely batter you. And I can't see it at all. Like, their nerves are on edge. They're all feeling uncomfortable. Like, I seen someone say, oh, Eddie Howe might walk now and all that, which I don't believe is going to happen. But we're not the ones on edge right now. We've just signed loads of great players. We might be going and spending 130 odd million on another striker when Ekitike is already looking great. I don't know what it is. I just feel, this will probably come back to bite me, but I'm just feeling really like calm. But I understand we've been in these angry games before, like we've had like derbies with Everton where like we've ended up with touchwood, but Van Dijk's ended up in a mess because of Pickford, and there's stuff like that goes through your mind. But the professionals at the end of the day, they know this is coming. Do you know what I mean?
The other thing about it, Abby, is maybe this was a game that everyone had earmarked around the Isak situation, because maybe after this game is out of the way, Liverpool can go and put 130 to 135 down, and Newcastle can go, well, they won't have him to face us in the first game, one of the first away games, home games of the season. So maybe there's also in that, maybe it's a case of whoever wins gets to keep him. Maybe that's how we should see this game at this point. I don't know. I think it's already an incredibly tough game of football for many reasons, including they're actually a really boss side. But I think this Isak situation just has added so much fuel to the fire. But I guess it could be a statement from either Newcastle or Liverpool, because Newcastle can go there, play like dogs of war, go and batter Liverpool, leg them everywhere and go, Isak, you want to leave this place? Listen to it. But on the contrary of that, Liverpool can walk up, absolutely showed why they're champions, and go, Alexander Isak, put in that transfer request that for some reason you won't do, bonuses. Put in that transfer request, push a little harder. I'm not saying a transfer is going to happen based on the outcome of this game, but it does feel like you can have some sort of bragging rights a little bit, I guess.
I guess so, but I still don't feel as though Isak's going to go, oh wow, there's, angry Newcastle fans and they've just beat Liverpool, I'm going to stay here because this, or all of a sudden now they've beat Liverpool's a better prospect, because it's not. At the end of the day, they may have like Champions League football, but we've got a chance of actually winning it. Do you know what I mean? They may win that one game, but they could still go on a really bad run after that. At the end of the day, they can't attract the players that they want. And it sounds as though they were actually late to the party on the whole Ekitike thing. They're acting as though we've kicked ourselves by stealing him, and if we wouldn't have stolen him, then we would have had Isak. But by the sounds of it, it sounds as though we were talking to Ekitike's team for a long time. So I think we've just played this whole game very, very early, and we're a lot more prepared. But at the end of the day, I think whether you're Alexander Isak and you're thinking, oh, this looked great and Liverpool got beat, I don't think that'll make absolute difference. If it was me, we'd put the money down on the table now, and we wouldn't play him, but we'd have Isak as ours for this game. I don't think it shouldn't make a difference. Like, this whole thing where they just think like, oh, we're this big angry being now and we're going to be able to batter you because we've just brought all this anger to us. I don't believe it for 1 second. And like Isak said, he's been promised things that haven't happened. They're saying that never happened, and there's all this going on, and we're just sat there silently just watching this all play out.
Innocent bystanders.
Got the money in our bank account just waiting for it. So I think we should be the ones going there, just feeling completely confident no matter what happens, and just knowing that at the end of the day he's probably still going to want to play for Liverpool, because he's probably going to want to try and win that Champions League and win the league. No matter what happens in that game, they're still going to go home thinking Alexander Isak still doesn't want to play for it. Do you know what I mean?
And ultimately, Ben, the most important point out of all of this is actually the 3 points. Because let me tell you, Newcastle away, you come away with 3 points from Newcastle away. I am absolutely delighted. It is my favourite away day. I'll go on about it every time. You're up in the gods. You can see the rest of Newcastle as you look up out. There's always an incredible atmosphere. It's always really close, tough games of football, ones that you want to be involved in. What I will say is, from a Newcastle point of view, I can totally understand why they're angry, by the way. Like, I want Isak more than absolutely anyone, and I hope he does everything to get to us. And look, the exact same way they're hoping Visa does the exact same to Brentford to go to Newcastle. I can still understand now why, when your best player wants to get off, you're fuming, because of course you will. And they'll do everything they can in that atmosphere to try and make sure that affects Liverpool. But at the same time, like we've spoke about, Liverpool have got World Cup winners, Premier League winners, Champions League winners. They've got leaders on that pitch. And I think the most important part is the first 15 minutes where Liverpool just need to get on that ball and calm that atmosphere down.
Yeah, look, the first 15, 20 minutes is going to be really intense. And I think I think you're right. You would be fuming. And we have been in that position before where, you know, best players want to go. And I think the key difference here is that, you know, the likes of Coutinho and other players that have kind of gone, they didn't want to go to a rival. They didn't want to stay in the country necessarily. They've gone to places like Barcelona, Real Madrid. And I think that it's more down to the fact that we are what Newcastle want to be, and this is still for them a sign that they're not quite there yet. If they've got players that ultimately still want to go to Liverpool, which is fair enough because we're the best team in the country. But I think that's what's making it more difficult for them. I do think though that, you know, that they'll feel like there's that one opportunity on Monday to get one over with us. I think though that, given the statement earlier in the week from Isak, or well, both statements, I mean, the Newcastle statement I thought was very strange. I thought it was quite condescending towards him as well. But I think now within the Newcastle fan base, there is maybe a resignation that there's probably nothing they can do to stop this, or that there's certainly no going back to how things were, even if he was to stay in this window. And I think now, I'd be very interested to see how next week goes after the game. I'm pretty convinced that we're just waiting for Monday to be out of the way, just because
I like it.
I just think that Liverpool. There's just no way that Liverpool don't bid again. I just don't. Why? Because look, £110 million is a lot of money, but it is below the valuation, and we've been chatting him up all summer, and he's been made very clear that he wants to leave all summer. So why would we bid below the valuation and then not bid again? I just don't see what the strategy is there.
There's no way he puts that Instagram story on unless he's had some sort of encouragement from Liverpool that this is still going to happen.
And we're still selling players. We've sold Nunes, we've sold Diaz.
There's Harvey Elliott still to be sold.
Yeah, there's just for me, there's just no way, and I just feel like they may well get one over us on Monday, whatever that looks like, whether they get a point out of us, whether they get 3. But I feel like the mood changed again this week after that statement, because I think at that point there was still a little bit of plausible deniability within the fan base. Well, Isak's not said any of this. This is Fabrizio Romano. This is Ben Jacobs. This is all these PR journalists kind of spinning it one way. Yeah. But when you hear it from the horse's mouth, there's nowhere you can go from there. And I think now, once Monday gets out the way and we get towards the back end of next week, there potentially could be a lot of movement very quickly, I think.
Yeah, and we will actually talk about the football and on the pitch in a minute at some point. But Joe has just put this in for me. Eddie Howe, I'm going to read it out exactly how he's put it. Eddie Howe has just said this like an hour ago because that is so Joe. Yeah. Me and Alex had conversations 2 weeks before the end of the season. Yes, I'm not going to sit here and deny that. Yes, we had discussions about his future. The club always has to act in the best interest of Newcastle United. It looks like it is coming to an end, or it will come to an end pretty quickly. And he obviously did say, my wish is that he will be playing on Monday. He won't be, and that's regrettable. But 100% I want him back in a Newcastle shirt. And whether Isak wants that, who knows? But the best part maybe for Liverpool right now is that yeah, he's not. I don't know whether you watched them, Abby. I watched them against Villa, and I sat there and thought, as if Villa had given Jacob Ramsey to Newcastle, because they're not laying a glove here on Newcastle, and Newcastle were only missing a striker. They were just missing someone to put the ball in the back of the net. They played really quite well, and they're missing Alexander Isak. It's going to be so much easier, and I say that it probably won't be now that I've said it, but in theory it should be so much easier to go to Newcastle away and not have someone absolutely thunderbolting it from 30 yards out, scoring goals past Alisson Becker. So it's not helped them out, it's not helped us out in terms of we need a striker, but what it has done is weaken their side for this game.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we've still got Ekitike there who's playing really well. So we have sort of got our striker. And I do feel for Ekitike in a way. There's just some part of me that just thinks it's just going to stunt his development at Liverpool when you go and get Isak. But at the end of the day, we need another striker. You've sold Darwin Núñez. You know, Diaz was playing in that role. And obviously, sadly, we lost Jota. So we're in a position now where we need Ekitike to perform well. And this is probably a good time for Ekitike to play well against them and be like, this is what you're missing and this is what you could have had, sort of thing. But at the end of the day, when you've got a choice between Liverpool and Newcastle United, you're going to choose Liverpool. You're going to choose the Premier League.
Who, you know.
Yeah, but it was different. The moment it's Trent, it was all different, and he's played his part.
Well, he was a Scouser, so apparently that means absolutely less, which I would assume it would mean more.
That means we need to let him walk away even more. But anyway, at the end of the day, coming up against them, I mean, they played okay, but like you said, they were missing Alexander Isak, and that means that we don't have the threat of him. And that League Cup final we had against them last year, Isak was unbelievable, and the fear that goes into me when you have to play against them is ridiculous. Anytime you think of Newcastle, you think, got to play against Alexander Isak here, and he's unbelievable.
There is a reason it's a British transfer fee.
He's worth every penny to me. If we end up paying 150 million for him, he's worth every penny.
He's worth 150 to Newcastle. I'm not sure he's worth 150 to Liverpool.
But in today's market, though, to be probably the best striker in the world, well, you can argue Haaland and all that sort of thing, when players are going for the amount that they're going for, Alexander Isak is probably the best prospect in the Premier League to buy right now, which makes me think he probably is worth the record, and he's still got so many years left on his deal. That adds to that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. In my mind, he's on £150 million player if we have to spend it. I would. And I hope
we do, let me tell you. We've got a super chat here. Newcastle will be over emotional with the game. Liverpool need to use that. They are toothless up front from what I've seen against Villa. I literally just...
I mean, the problem is that they've got a front three of effectively all wingers. They're starting Elanga, they're starting Barnes, they're starting Gordon. They don't have a focal point. You're totally right, Claire. I mean, I watched most of the game on Saturday. Oh, by the way, worth saying, Villa are a very good side, but Villa went down to 10 men with a good chunk of the game to go.
25 to go.
And Newcastle could, not only did they, not score, they didn't really craft anything. If you watch the match of the day highlights after the sending off, there's not a lot there. It was not like Newcastle were coming and just couldn't quite get it in. They weren't crafting load of opportunities, and obviously, it'd be interesting to see, because obviously we've got obviously injury issues of our own now. We've got a problem at right back. Be interested to see what the manager does there. But with our centre backs and with our left back options, I feel like this is a game really where if we can just control them and keep them in front of us effectively, we're going to have a good chance of coming away with all 3 points. Again, in the midst of that raucous atmosphere and how emotional it's going to be, we're going to come away with there. If we can just play the game in front of us we're going to have a great opportunity to go and win this.
Yeah, we do. And like you mentioned there, the players that they've signed, they've got Alanga there, Jacob Ramsey, who I assume will feature in some capacity. He wasn't available for them for the first game of the season. He didn't get that done over the line. Adam Ramsdale, forgot he was a thing. He now plays for Newcastle.
God, he was a thing.
I can't say his name. AC Milan, decent defender. They've signed him as well. They didn't even play Sven Botman, I don't think, in the first game week either. So, look, they've got a really good side. Abi, but, you know, so do we. Where do you think the game's going to be won and lost? Because I look at this and I look at their midfield, and I think their midfield on paper is one of the best in world football. And I do not mean, like, I'm not taking that lightly. I think Joe Linton, you know, just his physicality, his presence is brilliant. Tonali, absolutely boss. And then you've got the technical ability of Guimaraes in that midfield. They put in the hard yards. They're a bit dirty. They're a bit shithousery, which, you know, if you're a Newcastle fan, you love that. But also technical ability, they're brilliant. So I think the midfield is going to be a massive one for where this game's played, because, like we've just said, they are a little bit toothless. But if they can get about in that midfield, you know, they certainly have the players to hurt us.
Yeah, that is one of the best midfields in the league. It is. At the end of the day, it is. I'm not saying I'd swap what we've got. I wouldn't, but there are some players there that I've thought over time, like Tonali and all that. I've thought if I could get them at Liverpool, I'd be absolutely buzzing. So yeah, they are players that you don't want to come up against, and that is their strong point. But at the end of the day, we've got the Premier League winning midfield that has had Florian Wirtz added to it at the end of the day, and I just feel as though we're better, and we've got Gravenberch back now. He's available to play. You know, he's not got the ban anymore. So there's that. There's always that. But at the end of the day, they're more aggressive than us. Our midfield's not. It's not aggressive. Do you know what I mean? Unless you're going to throw the likes of Endo in there, then you've probably got this like aggressive character. And I'm sure we'll come on to who we're going to play in that. And I'm not saying let's play Endo, but you know, if you've got that sort of aggressive player, we're more of like a silky, you know, talented sort of creative midfield, and I just don't see us giving them it back. Do you know what I mean? If they're sort of giving us that, I can't see us doing that. I think the game could be lost for us at right back, like we've been saying. We have got that injury there. At the end of the day, Bradley's only played one. He's only had one training session. Like Joe Gomez couldn't get through 3. I think Slot said yesterday he couldn't get through all 3 training sessions. And Gomez, at the end of the day, for me, can't stay fit. And you could be in a situation where you start him and he's off within 20 minutes, and then we're absolutely flapping it. So right back is a massive worry for me. Now we found out Frimpong's going to be injured. That was a bit of a kick.
Sounds like Slot did the right thing though by taking him off, because I mean, okay, he's missing.
He made sure everyone was aware of that in the press conference as well. By the way, it was very much like, by the way,
wasn't
see what I did?
Confident man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
because people were like, "Why have you done that? It's just a tight hamstring," and he was like, "Turns out I was right to do so."
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, at that point, were we 2-0 up when he took Frimpong off? Yeah. You know, so even at that point in the game, and obviously the game went a bit nuts after it, but it was like that made a lot of sense if a player feels a hamstring at that point. Even then, even for a new starter, to take them off after an hour isn't that unusual. I think the unusual bit was that he'd done it with both of the fullbacks. But obviously, you know, we've got 2 tough games here. We've got Newcastle and Arsenal, and then the international break. By making that decision on the hour mark there, he's probably made sure he's back for September and not, say, after the October international break, which could have been a lot worse. Yeah,
it could have. And we will get to Liverpool. We've done a good 25 minutes on probably just Alexander Isak at this point, but it's fine. It's absolutely fine. We do have a code over on Redmen Plus. If you use the code REDS, that's REDS, you get 50% off a yearly captain subscription. That means that you get literally everything for the next year, including next year's transfer window as well. Probably us hopefully lifting a couple of trophies. So do go over and use that code for yourself. It expires on the 31st of August. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, we're going to get starting 11s. We're going to get how we're playing. I want score predictions. I want it all. So yeah, see us in a minute.
Hey everyone, how would you like to win this? Hold it up for them, Errol. This is a Liverpool shirt signed by 2 icons of the football club, Steve McMahon and Ronnie Whelan. Medals and trophies galore. At the end of August, we'll be giving that shirt away to one of our Redmen Plus Legend subscribers. If you want to be in the draw to win that, and every single month we do these sign competitions as well, head on over to redmenplus.com, become a Legend subscriber, you'll be in the draw. If you are one of our Captain subscribers, simply upgrade your account, become a Legend, and at the end of August, Errol, someone will be winning what is an absolute beauty, isn't it?
Yeah, we love this.
redmenplus.com, become a Legend.
Welcome back. Liverpool, we were just talking about Isak, of course we were, you know what I mean? We were basically saying this time next year we might be putting in another bid on the table for him, a cheaper bid.
Only 2 years to go then. Only 2 years of contract left.
Exactly.
So
Can't wait. I'm impatient. I'm like a kid who like wants another toy, you know, like that sort of vibe. But it's like, oh well, we've just signed Ekatike, Frimpong, and Wirtz and all these players. And now I'm like, okay, I want the next one for 130 million, please.
Well, we can hope that it comes in the next week. I'm not sure it will. But let's look at Liverpool then. We've done a load on Newcastle, but Newcastle have gone 17 Premier League games without a win against Liverpool. I mean, that is a ridiculous stat, let me tell you. They did win a Carabao Cup off us, I won't lie. But 17 Premier League games without a win. When I think about this fixture, and it's one of the fixtures I look at and think, oh, I don't like that. That's a scary fixture to me. The fact that they've not won in 17 just states how unbelievable Liverpool have been in that period of time, Ben. And the most important part for me is some things that went wrong on Friday night against Bournemouth. Hopefully Ryan Gravenberch plugs a couple of those gaps.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously we're going to talk about the right back issue again, I assume, but it frees potentially Szoboszlai to go and play that role as well, which I think is really important because I think he's one of the more serious options there. But I think particularly the issues we had in transition on Friday night, I think Gravenberch just has that slightly more defensive-minded aspect to him that maybe stops that from happening. I mean, if you look at the second Bournemouth goal and the way that comes about, I mean, Carragher was very passionate about it on Sky after the game, but he was talking about basically how high Szoboszlai had committed himself at 2-1 up, you know, at that stage of the game. The pass isn't quite right. He loses the ball. They break away. They score. They make it 2-2. Maybe Gravenberch's 10-15 yards deeper. Maybe that's what you're getting with a slightly more defensive minded player, and I think we saw it in the Carabao as well. You know, I thought that signing Wirtz and having Szoboszlai in that role was potentially going to make it even harder for Gravenberch to get back in, because I thought that Szoboszlai's experience of playing further forward and knowing when to make those runs from deep and things like that actually would have added a whole new dynamic to that role. But actually the early signs of that is probably going to take a little bit of training for him to understand when is the right time to go and when is not. So for Gravenberch to come back in, I think he slots right back in here. He'll have been staying fit. He's played obviously at times in pre-season. I think so, obviously he's boosted by the fact that he's just welcomed a baby into the world, and congratulations to him. But I think, as you said, particularly against their midfield, which we talked about how aggressive, how industrial it is, I think he's going to be a big addition here, and it frees Szoboszlai up to potentially do other things. Yeah,
it does free Sobo up. And against Bournemouth, I think we had 4 new players starting: Frimpong, Kirkaz, Wirtz, Hugo Ekatike. Abi, we will probably still see Kirkaz. You won't see Frimpong, obviously. Sad news that he's out until after the September international break. But I think what Ben said there about freeing up Dom, I also think it helps Alexis McAllister out as well, because Alexis McAllister couldn't play the full 90 the other day. He's sound, love him, one of the best midfielders in the league, but he might just be a half yard off it. Hopefully with Gravenberch next to him, that helps him and makes him have a better game as well. Because, look, asking Dom to... I mean, first of all, the way we lost the first goal against Bournemouth, that can be eradicated. Don't do those silly little flicks in dangerous positions. Slot won't appreciate that, and, that goal we can eradicate. We mentioned the second goal in transition. Hopefully, your McAllister might be out of the way, but Gravenberch is there. Hopefully the balance of the team will be a little bit better. And I'll mention it again, we're going away from home. When we're at home, you can be a little bit more, I don't want to use the word naive, but you can be a little bit more attacking at times. I think Liverpool won't be as, not naive, because it's not the word I want to say, but in those situations, I think they'll think, okay, let's just retain the ball, make sure we don't give anything stupid away, so that we're protecting ourselves a little bit better, because when you've got the full crowd behind you, you can get back into a game, you can have last-minute winners and things like that. When it's away from home and you've just conceded a goal like that and it's a sucker punch to you, it's not as hard to get back into the game. So hopefully Gravenberch back in can just settle us down a little bit and we don't do anything too stupid in the game.
Yeah, Gravenberch is probably our best midfielder. I mean, we haven't seen enough of it yet and all that to be able to make that argument. I know people will argue it anyway, but he was the proper solid. He was the consistent for us. He can get away with the ball and turn away with it at times where I just think we're not getting away with it. And I also think, to be honest, the main thing for me is having him in front of Konate. Konate has been a nightmare for me. Like I'm not trying to rip him, but the actual stress Konate's given me, and I put a lot of blame for conceding those 2 goals on Konate, 100%. And I just feel like if you've got someone like Gravenberch in front of him that can be a little bit deeper, I think that'll help him out. The window is still open to go and get Gay from Palace, and I think we have to go and do that. I don't know what's going on with Konate. Normally Van Dijk makes him look better, but he's really struggling. He's not getting away with the ball. He's mistiming it. You know, he's not thinking when he's making passes, and it just looks like there's been some sort of head loss from Konate. I don't know if you think I'm being harsh, but having Gravenberch in front of him there, maybe a little bit deeper, just maybe that's something he's been missing. Maybe that's why he's been sort of struggling a bit more. Maybe he needs someone like Gravenberch in the 6 to, you know, sort of help him a little bit more defensively. But there's just something with Konate at the minute where that's my concern. And obviously right back's going to be a concern, but Ibu Konate, that's the stress for me. But at the end of the day, there's no Alexander Isak there to sort of try and put pressure on. Probably our right-hand side's probably going to be a little bit more of a worry. How many times did we see Anthony Gordon do Trent? 1,000,000 times. So there's no Trent Alexander-Arnold there, but we haven't really got a fit right back to be there. I don't know if they'll end up putting Barnes there, put Gordon through the middle, but there's all those sorts of things that are going through my head, and Konate he's the one for me that's just it's stressing me out.
Maybe it's a contract situation that has got his eyes somewhere else. I don't know. You hope that he can get back to it. I think the other day neither of the centre halves were very commanding. Hopefully could we get back to that?
There's something with Van Dijk that I know he was getting a lot of abuse for his performance as well, but he had to clean up after Konate 1,000,000 times. The amount of times Van Dijk was literally sweating, and when do we see Van Dijk sweat? And it's because the pressure was on him to clean up Konate's messes 1,000,000 times. Just bad balls to Alisson, just so many times that I understand Van Dijk didn't have his best performance, but Konate was not helping next to him. He was putting him under pressure, and he was having to do all the work basically. So I'm not that angry at Van Dijk. It's just Konate.
Well, we'll see how he gets on, because he does have a problem next to him. I mean, there's been plenty of times he's had to cover for a certain right back who no longer plays for us. When I saw Wataru Endo coming on at right back the other day, let me tell you, I had to worry about what the hell was going on there. I think we're not going to do that this time round, or at least I'm certainly hoping that we're not going to do that, Ben. But we do have a problem. Joe Gomez could only play 20 minutes. He's not trained 3 times in a row. Conor Bradley only trained once. Jeremy Frimpong is completely out of the game. You can obviously move Dom, but look, you mentioned there, actually, Ryan Gravenberch comes back in, so we probably can move Dom, but at the same time, he is your engine, and I've just said in that first part, I reckon the midfield probably where they could win this game of football from us. To not have your engine in that midfield, who knows? What would you do at right back, and how concerned are you for this game?
I think actually, you mentioned before at the very top of the show in terms of playing Monday, that actually could really benefit us here, because actually if Bradley's trained once and then trains today and then maybe trains tomorrow, or a light training session on Sunday, we've got an extra couple of days to figure this out so we can see where he's up to. Would I still be a bit nervous about just completely throwing him in when he hasn't really played since the tour? I don't think. Maybe, but he's still the best right back that we've got available. So there's options. Szoboszlai's done it obviously at times in pre-season, but I think there's obviously a lot of football to be played. And I think that keeping the midfield fresh and rotating the midfield as much as you can is going to be really, really important. So I think if there's a situation where you don't have to throw Szoboszlai in at right back, and actually you can give him an hour and bring him on with half an hour to go, and then maybe you're swapping him in again for Arsenal, particularly in the early stage of the season where it's only one game a week, and it's going to go mental at some point where they're all going to have to be playing. So if you can just keep players like fresh, I think you should take the opportunity to do that. I think the other option is potentially like throwing a left back in there. So do you if you're going to play Kirkes, do you look at Robertson there, or actually do you go, well, Kirkes, was a bit erratic on Friday. Actually, you talk about kind of the intensity of the game, the emotion of the game. Is he one of those players that we're talking about?
Nailed on to get a yellow card. In
so
the
actually,
first
is Robertson the answer, really? Do you start Robertson at left back, and therefore, then you're looking at Szoboszlai or Bradley again, So it's weird because we have got no fully fit right backs, but there are quite a few options that we can throw in there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an option where you go, well, Bradley isn't fully fit, so Szoboszlai plays an hour, and then depending on the state of the game, that's when Conor Bradley comes on, who can give us that attacking option as well at times. We've seen him bomb forward. So, I think personally, if he's fully fit, I'm just starting Bradley, but I wouldn't be upset to see Szoboszlai there either.
There is another player who has played right back for us. It's a certain Curtis Jones. I don't think he's played bad at right back. It's not what I want to see. But I guess Liverpool will have to assess all the options. And also, Ben said there, if Conor Bradley's fit, that's great. But if Slot, precautionary, took off Frimpong, is he going to sit there and go, I've not got Frimpong until after September. Who knows if there's a setback potentially there, because that could just come along the way. Joe Gomez isn't fit, and he's also me cover for me centre-half because I don't have Mark Gay yet. Do you throw Conor Bradley in, and if he picks up an injury inside the first 20 minutes, then you're done again.
Which is
for
possible,
Arsenal,
especially in an aggressive
you
game.
can't look too far ahead. I'm probably getting ahead of myself, but that is also a problem that Liverpool need to worry about.
If this was some sort of calm game and we were playing one of the sides that's just come up or something like that, you'd be thinking, just put him in. It's not going to be too aggressive, but this is going to be one of those games where they just want to absolutely batter us. But we're forgetting this is the lad that put a tackle in on Mbappe. Do you know what I mean? He's going to want to play no matter what. But when you're going on to the Curtis Jones thing, I think Curtis would be more than happy to play there because he's in a position now where our midfield's full. We've got a midfield of world-class players. If he wants game time for Liverpool, it's things like that. It's being that sort of James Milner role where you just sort of have to fill in where you need it in order to get that game time. And I think Curtis might end up in a situation like Harvey where it's, you only have a short career, I'm only young, I know I love Liverpool, but am I going to be able to carry on with this going forward and get enough game time? Curtis will start games, he will get game time, but at the end of the day, when you've got a midfield like we've got, he's not going to get enough to be probably the player that he wants to be. So I think if something comes up for them to be like, right, we need someone else to play at right back, I think Curtis would be wanting that opportunity to just prove that he's still a good player for Liverpool and want to play for us. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I have a bit more trust in Curtis being a bit more of a defensive player than I do Szoboszlai. I don't know what it is with me and Szoboszlai. I had this thing last season where he was the weak link in the midfield for me, and I know he's proved that he can play better and he is a good player, but you might think maybe Curtis Jones might be the better option for me. Possibly, maybe. But can I be bothered with Anthony Gordon doing another scouser down that side? I don't think I can.
I can't, but we will get to our lineups. I think goalkeeper's really quite obvious as long as he stays fit within the next 3 to 4 days. Alisson Becker in goal?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, right back. We'll save right back. We'll go left back first because you mentioned it earlier, Ben. Kirkes, I've never seen the lad stay on his feet, and I'd really like him to just stay stood up. And he can be swept away in this game, but I saw Robbo come on, and Robbo looked like he was running a treacle up against Semenyo, so I can't imagine that against Elanga in that. But also, he's got the experience. What would you do at left back? Are you going young Kirkes, or are you going experienced head Robbo?
It is tough. I think. Maybe based just literally on what you just said there about Elanga, I think I maybe would go Kirkes, just because as well, to sort of hook him and to drop him is maybe not best for his confidence at this stage, so early on. He's been pulled off on an hour on a booking, and then to drop him on game 2, I don't really know. Was it that bad? You know what I mean? So actually, with his pace and with his energy getting forward as well. Maybe it is the one.
Is it dropping him though? Because at the end of it's technically dropping him, but at the end of the day, he's actually a really young player, and Andy Robertson is the senior left back at the club. So would it be this big thing in his head of, I've been dropped, I've lost my place? You haven't really. At the end of the day, he was probably going to be dividing up minutes anyway. I don't think we were going to completely write off Andy Robertson. I know there was those Atletico Madrid rumours and all that, and we've got three left backs there, but it does feel as though to me, Andy Robertson was going to play games like this. He's more aggressive. There's something for me that just thinks Andy Robertson's not completely written off for me yet, and he is that sort of player. Like, I always remember him laughing in Pickford's face, you know, stuff like that. If this feels like we're going into one of those games where you want someone like Andy Robertson, although he could end up in a situation where he just gets sent off and just completely wrecks it
because
for
there's
us
times,
as
Chloe says, there's times where that lack of pace, and I think that just
last
a half
season
a
he
yard,
had a nightmare.
just that half a second of reaction time. I mean, obviously that Fulham goal, that Fulham game at home, where, you know, he's just slow to react and then he gets sent off. And I'm not saying that, like, there was times last season where he played really well, and it might be that actually he plays on Monday and we come away with a good win and we go, actually that was a really good decision to play the experienced head. I just think though, in the intensity of the game, that might be a little bit more end to end, having a bit more energy on that left hand side might also be really useful.
So we've got one for Kirkaz and one for Robbo.
Yeah.
What are you doing,
Yous
Chloe?
can have the final I'd go Kirkaz. Yous can have the final decision. Kirkaz or Robbo for you at fullback. The only reason I say that is because how many times has a ball gone back post and Robbo's just not got the legs to get there? Yeah. I mean, Kirkaz would probably give away a penalty, but it's a 50% chance that someone then misses that. No, I am joking. I am taking the mick because Josh Williams spoke about how much he doesn't stay on his feet, and now that is just ingrained in my brain.
Because he keeps saying that every time I'm watching him now. It's all
you see. Yeah. We'll go to the two centre halves, and I won't lie, there's not many options there either. Virgin Canate.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. If I had if I had other options, I might swap out Canate, but we don't. So. And
finally, your right back.
Tough, isn't it?
I think Bradley.
You've got Endo, Curtis, Joe Gomez. If you really, I don't think he can even play, to be honest, because he only got 20 the other day. You can try Connor Bradley if you really want.
I think the game being on Monday gets Connor Bradley in.
Okay.
It's enough time.
I think
you've convinced me, because when Slot said like, oh, he's only had one training session, I thought for some reason
you feel like you're playing tomorrow, don't you?
You feel like that's it then. But no, you are right. There is more time for him to sort.
And I think actually I hadn't thought of Curtis Jones, but I think he might be my plan B. I think I'd put him in if not.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Fair. Some people are going Gomez, Sabo at right back, Sabo again, Joey or Sabo. It's got to be Kirkaz based on pace alone, which is basically all items. That was my reason for why he was left back. And someone said Gomez if he can walk. I certainly hope he can. So, you know, let's hope he can
If you're starting Kirkaz, is there any scope for Robertson at right back?
No.
Not for you.
Not. He's not.
No,
when
not,
I don't want to see him on his right foot at any point in a game of football.
Probably not.
No. Look, I love Robbo, and I think actually him coming on with 20 minutes to go to see how, I think he'll be brilliant, because I think he'll be a proper dog of war. He'll go and put one on them and just basically stop the game and get Liverpool out. I think he's really good at things like that, but I am so petrified that Alanga's going to be one-on-one with him at some point. And
that's fair enough.
I at least think Kirkaz will bring someone down or will like put him in the stand, basically. I think Robbo will just get burnt for pace and not have a chance to even do that. So that would be my only reason. But if Robbo starts, I can totally understand why at the same time. Your midfield three then, at this moment, we've got Connor Bradley at right back, so Sobbo is available for that midfield. Ben, go first.
I'm going with Gravenberch, McAllister and Wirtz. I think that there's been a bit of chat, hasn't there, on Twitter about, oh, you can't put Wirtz in for this one because, you know, they're so, but you just can't go without that creativity
he's a
either. You know,
player.
just because they might throw a few heavy tackles in. Well, unfortunately, that's the Premier League, mate, and I think he's built for that. So, like, I think in the space that he might get, because obviously Newcastle play a slightly different way than Bournemouth, and I think, you know, I thought it was okay on Friday, but I think this is the type of game that can suit him, especially with the attacking options in front of him. So I would go with Wirtz.
He needs that opportunity to sort of show what he's made of, because the pressure of a price tag it's pile. I don't know if he's feeling it, but me as a Liverpool fan, I'm feeling it.
He just wanted to get off the mark.
You can't not play him. He's £100 million player. This is one of the biggest away games of the season. You can't go.
This is why you buy players. Like, that's why you spend the money.
Yeah. It's just difficult when you think of the midfield we had last season was flawless in lots of ways, and we're sort of taking it apart and reshaping it in certain ways. But I do agree. You've got to give Wirtz that game time. If he has another bad performance, though, I can't be bothered with clicking on social media and seeing how that goes. But could be the one that he grabs.
I think he's fine.
Yeah.
I think you could just tell
I've
he really
put him in my
wanted
fantasy, so
there we go. Someone in the comments has gone Grav, Sobbo, and Wirtz, and I assume that's just because McAllister was missing for the majority of pre-season. I wouldn't mind that either. I won't lie to you. If it's I get, I just, if he's a couple of yards off it, I need everyone to be on it.
It's great, isn't it, that we've got these options, basically. You can throw Curtis Jones in the mix if you wanted to. If you're not playing him right back, you can throw Endo in. There's choices. Maybe Szoboszlai gives you a little bit more running off the ball than McAllister does, and maybe that's something that helps. That's something that might suit this. So I think whatever for me, I'm definitely starting Wirtz. So whatever the combination is out of the other three,
and Gravenberch has to start from what happened the other night.
Yeah,
so
probably. Yeah. So I'd be happy with either McAllister or Szoboszlai.
Same. I'm absolutely on board with that. Finally, your front three then, Abby.
Yeah, Ekitike through the middle, Gakpo on the left, and Mo Salah on the right. It's got to be.
There's no one else.
There is. It's Federico Chiesa.
There is.
I know, the man, the hero.
I know. But, let's let him get a minute, a goal with like 5 to go.
Origi for me, hopefully.
No singing the song, though. No singing the song.
Oh, don't.
Don't worry. My vocal cords will hopefully be okay by that time. And I will be absolutely singing my heart out in hopes that Liverpool... someone's just put Rodrigo in the starting 11, which is really funny. Rodrigo,
that's all back now. All those conversations are back now.
Don't get me started.
I can't keep up.
But I'll let you think about it first. I want to know how the game's going to go. I want to know your score prediction. And I want to know your goal scorers. However, before we do that, because I'll let you think on it, because I have just put that on you, we'll have a look at some of the other Premier League fixtures. There's a game tonight. I've never been happier to hear it. It is West Ham v Chelsea. Chelsea were absolutely crap on that opening day of the season.
West Ham were awful.
Sunderland, yeah. Okay, well, Chelsea 3 points there, really. City v Spurs, guys. Now, this was a tasty one last year. I'm not saying City drop points. But if City drop points and Liverpool go away to Newcastle and pick up 3, I will be absolutely made up. So let's earmark that one. Arsenal have Leeds in the half-5, which fills me with no fear for Arsenal. But, Leeds still a all
They
right
weren't
side.
amazing against Everton, but Everton were just so poor that it made Leeds
bit,
look...
didn't they?
Yeah. Everton were... Shocking.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Everton playing the Hill Dickinson Stadium against Brighton. Yeah. Let's hope they lose that one. And then Fulham play United, which, anything could happen there, because United are a mad box of frogs, them. There's not really, it's
all
City,
eyes on Monday,
Spurs,
isn't it? Across the weekend, it's all eyes on Monday. Like, the Super Sunday is already not that super already
Sunday's
this weekend.
not great, is it? When you've put Man United on Super Sunday, how super can it get?
Yeah.
At this moment in time. Anyway, let's get your score predictions, how the game's going to go and who's going to score. It won't be Alexander Isak, I can tell you that much.
It won't be. I think this might be a really cagey draw in the end.
For fuck's sake, Ben. What's happened
do you want
here?
my analysis or not? We're going to trounce them 6-0.
We've been here for 50 minutes and you've told me a draw.
No, I think... If the game's going to be won, it's going to be won by a goal.
Okay. I like that.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be tight. I think there's going to be a lot of grafting to do in the first 20 minutes. And I think if we go a goal down, not that I fear for us, but I think it's going to be like a lot of hard work after that as well. I think it's so important to be 0-0 on 20 minutes. I think if we can do that, we might then go and win the game. I think there's going to be goals. I can see like a 1-1 or a 2-1 to Liverpool, like just ones that we get over the line. Because look, we've got a relatively tough start to the season here. We've got to play Arsenal next week. We've obviously beaten a pretty good Bournemouth side last week. And Newcastle away is one of the toughest fixtures there is for all of the reasons that we've talked about, and then the added circus that is on top when it comes to this particular game. And I think loads of people are going to go in expecting it like loads of goals. I think it might be one of those games that works the other way, where actually it's just so cagey and tense that it ends up being sort of, I think there will be goals. I don't think it's going to be 0-0, but I think it could be a 1 or a 2-1. Like either way, like it's one of those games you can go away. But I think if either team, if we can get through the first 20 minutes, if either team's going to win it, Liverpool are going to show their experience and go and win the game. But, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'll take you 1-0 or 2-1 over the 1-1, please. Abi, I'm gonna. You've made me feel great because
I felt dead positive until I came and sat in here with you two.
The thing that's made me feel great is the fact that they just don't have Alexander Isak. So as long as we can keep the back door shut, like, I do trust our forwards and how creative we can be. And so do a lot of the comments here. People going for 3-2s, 3-1s, 2-1 to Liverpool. I do think it's going to be a tough game of football, but I am excited to not have to play Newcastle with Alexander Isak. So I'm hoping that, like, if you'd have told me at the start of the season you're going to Newcastle away and they've got Alexander Isak, I'm sat there going, you come away from a draw that's maybe, like, you don't want to, but it's an all right result. You're telling me that if it was other circumstances and Alexander Isak was just injured and couldn't play, I'd be going there and saying, you've got to go and win, because you don't have a better opportunity of going and beating them when they don't have their number one attacker. So for me, you've convinced me. I'm all on board of Liverpool going and doing the business here. What about you?
And you've both convinced me that we're going to concede. For some reason now I'm like, oh no, we're going to concede. In my head now it's 2-1 Liverpool.
Okay.
I think it'll be just Joe Linton gets sent off, something like that, just a bit of aggression there from him. And goal scorers, I think Florian Wirtz will get one, and then Mo Salah. But I think their goal scorer will be Anthony Gordon, because he just loves putting in a good performance against us, because he wanted to play for us. Childhood Liverpool fan deep down, and and plus the whole right back situation. Maybe Anthony Gordon might get a goal there, but I think Liverpool will. I think a Mo Salah winner late on would be great.
I don't think my heart can deal with it.
But it'd be great. But at the end of the day, your heart couldn't deal with what happened against Bournemouth. But it was so exciting and so great that, the Premier League's back. It may as well have a bit of excitement about it.
And it does start tonight, sadly, with West Ham. But, this is just something we've got to deal with. Liverpool play Newcastle United on Monday night, 8 p.m, St James's Park, under the light. We'll be covering it all for you on our YouTube channel, as always, and over on Redmen Plus for the post-match stuff. We will have a watch-along. I'm not even going to pretend like I know who's on this watch-along. I'm going to assume Paul is on this watch along. So if you want to see a bit of Paul, you can join in for that. I'll hopefully be at the ground if everything goes well. But yeah, do join us on Monday night for that one. Have a lovely weekend. Let's hope some of the big boys drop some points. And let's hope come Tuesday morning, Liverpool are 3 points ahead of everybody else. Anyway, see you until the next one.